This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
But you're bribing a head coach $100K to lose a game? Whoa. That right there is as disgusting as it gets. Okay? It may not get as disgusting as Richie Incognito has acted at times in a Dolphin uniform, but it's pretty close. It's sickening to think that the owner would do something like that. Would even think of that. So you hire somebody to then have them ruin their record? Really? I mean, that makes no sense whatsoever. Now, the question I have out of all of this is, why didn't Flo walk away at that moment? I'm talking about from the team. Why didn't he expose the owner right there and then? I know it's a tough move, but look what you're doing now. You're burying yourself now. Because Flo will never have another job again. And I don't even know what coach is going to stand next to him in these lawsuits. It's probably going to be guys that are older and out of football and have no shot at getting hired already as it is, so then they'll jump on the lawsuit. But anybody that actually is working and wants to work, they're not jumping on that lawsuit. But that's what I would ask that of Flo. I mean, if you're so on your high horse right now, 3 years later that things didn't go your way, why didn't you do it then if you're Mr. High Horse? Right? I mean, if you're Mr. High and Mighty and you want to fight for the greater good, right? Well, why didn't you start right there and then? That would have been perfect. Wait a minute, hold on. I'm a minority coach. I just got my first opportunity. And the first week I meet with the owner, he wants me to lose my games so I can already damage my resume as a coach. So he wants me to show incompetence week in and week out and lose on purpose. It would have carried a lot more weight, right? Right? Right there and then. If he's Mr. High and Mighty, if he's really fighting for the cause, you don't do it now because now it's going to look out of convenience. It's going to look sour grapes. That's the part you didn't think of, Flo. And because you acted like a horse's ass for 3 years, that's why you got fired also. So now you put yourself in a corner now that unless you have hardcore proof, unless you had somebody filming it, unless you recorded the audio, which you probably didn't because you didn't expect that in that meeting, you were just expecting to meet the owner and all that, then I don't know how you get past this. But if you are Mr. High and Mighty and you are fighting for a cause that needs to be fought for, you're the worst example for it, and I'll explain that later also. Okay? But if you want to fight for a really important cause, well, then you had your opportunity 3 years ago. And at that moment, you would have actually saved your dignity. At that moment, there would have been no questioning. Now, 3 years later, with all the things that have happened, with all kinds of people in the building and all the people you fired and you don't get along with and traded away and everything else, you lost your credibility in that sense. And so now it ends up looking more like sour grapes than anything else. So that's my question for Brian Flores. If you were so insulted, why didn't you take action right there and then? Because, I mean, are you not smart enough? Once the owner tells you that, you're done. You were done. Because if you didn't plan on going with him, then expose it right there and then, right? I mean, you got to be smart enough. Oh, I'm going against my owner's wishes. How do you think that's going to work out from here on out? I'm just wondering. What do you think? You got a brain there, Brian Flores? Is there just a semblance of intelligence there? I mean, I saw you with your challenges, so I know your eyesight and reaction's not very good. I'm just wondering, like, at that moment, they offer you 100K per loss. I mean, if you are Mr. High and Mighty, like you want to act now, why didn't you do it then? That's what I need to know. Because that doesn't show me you're high and mighty. This shows me you put it in your pocket and you waited till things didn't go your way, and now you want to use it. And that's not. This is where it's not going to be as effective as it could have been 3 years ago. 3 years ago, you do that, and there's no agenda. There's no sour grapes. There's nothing going on. 3 years ago, you do this before the season even starts, before your career even starts. And man, you've got all the credibility in the world. Can you believe it? This man hires me, and now he wants me to lose games and has offered me 100,000 to lose per game. This is what minorities have to deal with. We get an opportunity, and now they basically put a gun to our heads that we have to commit career suicide by going by what the owner wants. That's what the person that is truly high and mighty, truly better than most of us, does right there at that moment. I mean, if you're going to piss away your career, right? Or if there's a chance of you pissing away your career, you do it 3 years ago. You might get hired anyway because people will say, wow, that guy's integrity. That's the coach I want. We don't want that owner in our league. We want that coach in our league. Now, guess what happens? Now you don't want the coach or the owner because you can't prove either one. Because there's doubt in everything. Because there's agenda in everything. 3 years ago, no agenda. 3 years ago, you're really doing it out of the goodness of your heart. And 3 years ago, the world stands behind you. Now, world divided. That's it. And so that's what I would say to Brian Flores, Mr. High and Mighty. You know, now that crap didn't work out for you, now that you acted like an asshole with Kenny Stills and couldn't get along with Minka, and you had 7 different offensive decisions at coaching with the offensive line, offensive coordinators. I mean, and all the other stuff that I know behind the scenes, it's I already know what you acted like behind the building. Hell, I was telling you all for months that he was running roughshod through the building. They wanted to fire his ass last year, dude. You know, so now you lost every bit of ammunition you could have had because you did it the wrong way. Because now you did it, and it just doesn't have the same optics. And that's where Brian Flores has failed. As for Stephen Ross, well, ladies and gentlemen, that's pretty bad. This is the problem with the Stephen Ross thing is um the problem with the Stephen Ross thing is that you got to prove it. But the fact that there's that doubt now, that's going to cause problems for him anyways. So it's an ugly situation, man. It really is. It's just, I wish it would have been handled differently so we can actually make progress in this area. I just feel that now it'll be so clouded, it'll be actually really tough to make progress.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.